Across the country this weekend, demonstrators are taking to the streets and raising their voices, all against police brutality.
D, you had law enforcement experience. I think you was like a sheriff or something.
Yeah, sheriff deputy. Yeah, Wyandotte County.
Like,
I was 5-0. I was 5-0, y'all. I'm sorry.
He was riding around that Charger.
He
was riding around that Charger, man.
Listen. I know Salsa referenced it earlier. So right after Ferguson, I was just like, yo, let in my naivete, let me jump in and let me try to make a change.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like,
yeah,
did that. Go ahead.
That was there, and so got in there. And to be completely honest, man, there's still some brothers and sisters, man, I love dearly that still are serving in law enforcement. So just want to be clear.
Right.
But I can't echo enough everything that Sauce just said. And you see it firsthand. I mean, you really do. You see situations that you're placed in that people either one don't live in the community, so they have no idea what these people are like, or two, they don't know how to de-escalate. Three, you got a lot of cowards with badges. This is why they got a badge so they could fight somebody, and it just spills over. I remember, one of the reason why I got in is to try to help stop the recidivism of people getting out and going right back in. And so I talked to, in particular, to put them on blast, to be candid, I talked to Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. They had a book log for the library for the inmates. And I was like, yo, can I add some books to, like, I'll donate books. My church will donate books. And they, gave me the him, the ha, we don't know, we got to redo all of these catalogs. And I told them, I was like, no, you ain't got to worry about all that. We'll pay for the catalogs. We'll laminate them. We'll bring the books in. Like, it'd be zero cost to you guys. They want to know parts of it. And mind you, the books I'm trying to bring in are how to fill out a resume, how to get a job if you're a felon, how to do job interviews, how to deal with substance abuse, all of these things. They were having no parts of it. And so at that point, I realized this system is not a system that is geared towards stopping this. Although we present this image, that's not what it's about. And so at that point, I got out because that was the only reason why I was in it, is to help, my people, and they're not being helped. So I got to find another way. And so, you see that over policing, you see these police budgets, you see the amount of mental health issues that I had to deal with. I have no mental health training at that point to be able to interact with these people, but you're going hands on with people consistently, all because of mental health issues. And it's absurd. I mean, it's just absurd. There is a need, because of the sin nature of humanity, to have people in some sort of policing activity, right? But what we've leveraged those people for is far and beyond their capabilities. And things like qualified immunity and things like that have empowered them way, way too much to be able to get by with, murder in so many cases. It's just like, nah, man, we have to really rethink what this is, and how do we fix it? How do we adjust this? So, yeah, man, I echo everything Saul said. He's spot on.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I'm learning, brother. I'm learning, because I was like, I was reading on Twitter. They was like, I think it was you, abolish the police. I'm like, no.
your TV automatically started coming off the wall. Like, hold on, I need somebody to call.
I'm saying, how we gonna do that? I gotta go get strapped. What you mean?
Yeah.
But you just broke it down.
Yeah, man. It's hard, man.
No, it's definitely a very radical idea, and I think Angela Davis said something the other day, like it's what's going on right now is kind of like an overdue type of thing. Looking at how American policing has treated the people that it protects and serves. And there needs to be a major overhaul, and not just a reform. In my opinion, there needs to be something new sprout up that can handle that. I think that our go-to response for societal problems, being police in prison is not good.
It's not.
Yes.
I agree.
I've heard many times from my homies on the block, they went to prison and became a better criminal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They
Yep.
they learn when
Yeah.
they got out. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. So
Yep.
recidivism is high.
Yep.
So you know what I'm saying. And police are only responding to things when they talks about, well, who's going to protect us if we don't have police? Well, who protects us now? If somebody breaks into my house, my neighbor will come to me. We on my neighborhood, on my block, we had one shooting since I've been here for 8 years, and after the shooting, before anything else happened, the guy who was doing the shooting came to my house, knocked on my door, and said, "Man, I'm sorry for that shooting. Somebody tried to rob me when I was coming in the house. I just want to let y'all know we about to contact the police. I got it all on video. Everything's good, et cetera, et cetera." And nothing happened because the police seen the video and it saw that the guy was in his constitutional right to defend himself.
Right.
So like things like that are what I think of, and like as far as protection. And I started something I'm gonna talk about a little bit later, but yeah. So I know when I seen that, when people seen that abolish the police, etc. Like I said, I have a tendency, man. I could just jump right off in it, and I had to make sure I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Because people be like, "Hey, man, hold on now."
Hold on, bro. I saw that. I was like, babe. I was talking to my wife. I was like, baby, I don't know.
You be getting those text messages, man. Because I love Sauce. They be like, somebody hit me up like, "Hey, you see what Sauce on?" Like, "Oh man, let me read. I'm thinking the best. Let him explain himself first. Let me see what's going on." Because he don't jump off the handle.
The abolishment of who? Hey, where we go? No, but I get it. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's dope.
I'm on board. I love it. So Sauce, like I said, we've been knowing each other for years, like doing music together. Bible on My Side mixtape. I think that's the one I was on. No, I was on gospel.
You was on
and
Yep.
That's the one I was on. I was always impressed by the level of excellence, how you do what you do. You don't play games. Everything's always tip top. And I always was impressed by that. And I always admire that about you. So we go on this journey. You putting these albums out. Then Ferguson happened. Happened. I see a totally new Sauce.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, man. I really got politicized, man. I mean, to be honest, man, I got radicalized in the political world, and a little bit before that, this is when I first started going to UMKC. I always wondered, like, why is the hood and the suburbs? Like, why is it like that?
Yeah.
Like, why is it like that? So I went to school for urban studies. And I learned about, man, J.C. Nichols and all of these things, FHA loans and racial residential segregation and the wealth gap and the truth divide, black flight, white flight, all of these terms, right? And man, I was just like, whoa, I had no idea about none of this stuff. And I'm living right here in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the first things that really got me thinking and wondering about what's going on in the world, specifically America. And when Ferguson happened, man, it definitely like it made me want to do something else, or not something more in this world. And after Ferguson happened, I went protesting with Ferguson protesters, shut down the Senate at the Missouri State Capitol, and all type of things like that. And like a lot of it was a rush. I'm learning. I didn't know what a die-in was. We land on the floor, stopping the senators. We stopping the senators from going in. You know what I mean? Like we doing stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, I love it. I'm learning about organizing. I had an internship with the American Friends Service Committee, or better known as the Quakers. Some of the white folks who helped slaves help the enslaved get to freedom, etc. back in the day. And had an internship with them by organizing youth around social justice and using poetry and hip hop. So I'm like, I'm in my lane. I'm feeling it. Woo. And as time progressed, man, you start to learn about other things. And I started really engaging. And this is a little bit before too, because me and Deacon used to meet in my house. And Dre, we used to always talk about, like, we used to go through apologetics with the Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff like that. But a little bit later after that, this was around the time that Damon was about to leave, or he had already left, Deacon. I started interacting with Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
All their branches, the Moorish Sign Symbol of America. I started interacting with Hebrew Israelites, all of these nations of gods and earths, all of these different black religious identity groups. And for anybody watching, I'm not a Muslim or none of that. I know a lot of people thought I was. A lot of people thought I was. They was asking, "You a Muslim? What are you? What's going on?" I'm not none of that, man. God is His work still remains in me. Trust
Come
me.
on. Come on.
And that's something I always use to ground myself, man. Is thinking about what God brought me from and how He changed me. I look at my wife and my kids like, yeah, God changed me for sure. But but and learn about those groups, man. I went through a very dark time, man, and really being angry with God and asking like, why would you let us go through all of this? And as you get closer to learn about these groups, man, their ideas and their theories start to become more and more sensible to you. So the Hebrew Israelites believe that in Deuteronomy 28 that the black people in America are the ones that were on the slave ships, and that's who God sent over to America, and we are them. Then everything else they have doesn't make sense, but you know, you can really get caught up, man, in just that identity. And so you keep going, you learn. So I learned about scientific racism. I learned about how the whole thing about race created by Johann Blumenbach and the Germans scientists and how they came up with these specifications for different ethnic groups, different people groups from around the world. So now you're like, okay, well, race is not even a real thing. All right, so you know what I'm saying. So it's like so many different levels and things that I went through, and I kind of found my grounding in the things that God is already blessing with, and then one was hip hop, rapping. Like that's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Like since middle school, I can't seem to do anything right, but I can rap. You know what I'm saying? So I chose, to figure out a way to make impact with the youth. I believe that if you're not impacting the youth on some positive level, you're not impacting the future because they are the future, right? So I started teaching youth hip hop songwriting, but having something to talk about that's worthy content. So I started with the City Mission, moved on to the Boys and Girls Club, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at the same time, I'm studying everything I'm studying, right? So I get to the end of one album, my album called One, and I had a song on there called All American Center. And I think it's probably the first time I started talking about racism on a record. And it was kind of low key, so nobody really tripped, right? The next album I had was the Soul Food. No, Soul Food 1 has already came out. Soul Food 2.
Yeah.
Soul Food 2. I had a black woman on the front with an afro. So I'm learning all about the Black Panthers. I'm actually meeting real life Black Panthers. I met Mama C. I met Kathleen Cleaver. I met a brother who was
she was raw. Her husband was
Yep. Exactly. Emmanuel Cleaver's family. And I
really?
met no, yeah, that's his family. It's like his cousin or something.
Hey, Cleaver was we'll go there.
Yeah.
That was a trip.
Yeah. I met one of the political prisoners who was in jail for like 30 years. Like so when Soul Food 2 came out, like I'm really rapping about Black stuff, and I'm just like, yo, I'm just everything I'm learning about, I'm rapping about, right? And I'm just putting it out there at a fast pace, and and I'm still talking about God and Christ and everything. And I think people, especially a lot of my white fans, white Christian fans to be specific, took it the wrong way. And in their ignorance, they just was like, what are you talking about? It's not a skin issue, it's a sin issue, right? I had one brother who inboxed me and said, Sauce, be careful of the Black Panthers, man. They're going to lead you down the path of hell. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you don't, you know what I'm saying? So, like, they just automatically was just like, rejection. I lost a lot of fans, man. And I tell that because my next album, I didn't sell that many records. But Soul Food 2 came out, and then I did Animal Trap, which was talking about mass incarceration. I learned about the new Jim Crow. I read the new Jim Crow book, seen the documentary, and all that type of stuff. Learned about Michelle Alexander. I think I saw her speak and everything. And I started learning about group economics and all of these things like that, alternative economies. Dr. Claude Anderson. Yeah, etc. So this is like all these processes that I'm going through, right?
Right.
And I didn't realize it now, but I didn't realize it then, but I realize it now. But I started learning about the new Jim Crow. So I did a whole project about mass incarceration, and it was just like a thing where it's like, yo, I want to talk about what's right in the way that in the way that the war on drugs and policing has impacted our community is not right, and it's not fair, and I want to talk about it. So I did mass incarceration. I did Animal Trap, and then I did Soul Food 3. So from mass incarceration, I started learning about um, Black women throughout American history, specifically, and so looking at them from um, their roles on plantations to their roles after Reconstruction, Black Reconstruction, their roles through the Black migration, their roles through um, um, after after the Great Society, which created the welfare system, and how that threatened the Black family and etc. And I started looking at these things and like looking at how important their role is into the Black family and family in general, which is um, um, God's agenda for us, right? That family structure, and looking at how important that is and how devalued they felt. I'm hearing the cries of womanism and feminism and all of these things, and wondering where it comes from. I did Soul Food 3, a dedication to Black women. So then people was like, "Man, what are you?" I mean, now don't get me wrong. I had black women was on board, but
Yeah.
some people, other people was like, "Man, what the heck?" So then I did Soul Food 4, dedication to Black men, to kind of respond to what was going on with me and kind of my view of being a Black man in America. So that's how I kind of progressed to me personally. You can hear a lot of it in my music, but I would tell everybody, like, don't judge me off my music. Like, please holler at me, talk to me. A lot through this process, man, you can easily feel alone. You know what I mean? And I had a lot of people, man. I heard a lot of things, man, about me that I'm just kind of like, I don't even want to respond to, because I don't want to be that kind of person. But really hurtful things, and that kind of just led me to know what I'm just gonna keep going hard for what I'm doing. And I believe that it's all inspired by God, especially the work I do with youth, and especially the work I'm doing, the new work I'm doing with organizing. It's inspired by the book of Nehemiah. We read Nehemiah when I was going to Koinonia Church. Um, we were talking about taking over the Northeast, literally buying houses in the Northeast area of Missouri next door to each other and changing that community. I met John Perkins. I love his book, Restoring at-Risk Communities. Christian brother. They changed communities in Chicago and other cities as well. Pops brought him down here to KCK. I was able to go down there and actually meet him, learn from him. That's a great book, by the way, Restoring at-Risk Communities. It's a great book. I read that, and I started focusing on creating change in communities right where I'm at, starting at the ground level, and going through Nehemiah, line upon line, precept upon precept. It changed my whole view of how I look at being in a community with people, and it's kind of inspired what I want to do now. With you literally have to create a community within a community to take care of the things that you need, and you look around at you go to 7th and Central in KCK. You go up and down that block, they have everything that they need. You go to Southwest Boulevard. You know, the West Side community has. I mean, they still have their issues, but they have everything they need. They have their own credit union. They have community centers. They have et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those are the things that I want for our communities, man. And I feel like it's very attainable, and I feel like a lot of my focus has been placed on that, man. And the church has a huge role in that. I mean, you look at the 60s, the 50s, the church, man. I mean, if it wasn't through the church, it probably wasn't going to happen. Like the legitimacy of it. Like when I talk about the Black radical tradition, that includes the Black church. And I've read a lot of Black liberation theology as well. But yeah, James Cone.
Hey, that's my dude.
Yeah, man. Very. When I first read it, I was like, man, I don't know about this. This dude is radical.
Hey, James Cone, that's my dude. Now I don't everything, but
right. I like
crossing the lynching tree.
Crossing the tree, but another pastor I follow, Reverend Otis Moss III from
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yep.
Trinity United, man. I watch a lot of
Mm.
their streams, man. I think that brother, man, he's on another level with it. But
Yeah.
learn about those things and looking at those things and just trying to figure out the pieces of what it takes, and then learn about past leaders and what they've done, what they did. That's kind of made me to who I am now. And just those few sparks of wondering, why is the hood the way that it is? Why are the suburbs different? So you go through a whole trail of learning about all of the laws and the policies and all in that aspect, you know, and you start learning about Black history, and you learn about those things as well. And it's just like at one point it was overwhelming. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I went through some dark times, man. And you know, by God's grace, for sure, man, I'm still here, still doing the work, still putting out great music, man.
I'm
And
trying to get this Soul Food 5, man. What's up?
I think Soul Food 5 is gonna be like a dedication to Black children, man. We'll do something special for the kids, man. It'll be straight positive, all of that. Yeah, it'll be dope. But yeah, man. So that's kind of reflected in the work I'm doing now, man. I've worked with a lot of groups in the city, man, from religious, non-religious, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times I have to just find my common ground to what to where we can meet if we don't agree,
That's good.
ideologically, you know.
So how do we do that?
Yeah. So just for some examples, like, we got a very popular brother Muhammad in the Nation of Islam, the local Muslim community here in Kansas City. I don't agree with their theology, obviously, but the brother is a third-degree black belt, I think. So it's like, yo, look, you want to learn some self-defense? Brother Muhammad, man, he's a beast with it. You know what I mean? So like finding that common thing that we can come together on. A lot of other groups that even aim for peace. It's a lot of Black Muslims will aim for peace, but they're aiming for peace. I'm aiming for peace. I don't want Black brothers killing themselves over colors and crumbs. So I'll be out there with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily got to go to church with them on Sunday and do what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we can agree. Hey, on Saturday we're gonna hit these streets. We're gonna advocate for putting the guns down, right? So like those are ways that I've been able to find that commonality between different groups. When I worked with AFSC, I was real uncomfortable. First of all, AFFC is very white, and I was already real uncomfortable because they had a section in there where we had to teach about LGBT, and I'm just like, man, you know, from what I've learned in the church or whatever, like, hey, that ain't nothing. I don't rock with that, right? And I had to learn on how to meet with common grounds. Like, I wholeheartedly believe nobody should be murdered for their sexual orientation.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that,
right. I don't have to agree, but you don't deserve.
You know what I'm saying? But like, you don't deserve to be murdered
absolutely.
for that.
Absolutely.
And kids that are trying to find their identities, like we had to work with kids who were trying to find their identities. They didn't know what they believed they were. You know what I'm saying? So I'm placed in a position to learn about these things so that I can advocate for people on behalf of what I believe, of course, but on behalf of multiple people, groups, and backgrounds, ethnicities, and belief systems, etc., and learning how it all fits in um, um, for that greater thing of peace and being able to live amongst each other and loving your neighbor. And those are like some of the things that I've been learning, man. And so like, that's what I would say, man. Like, really find something, that common ground, that you can meet somebody at, and figure out how you can, you know, love your neighbor and push that out even more, with whatever you're involved in, or whatever you feel like you're being led to do, whatever your convictions are. You know what I'm saying? The work I do, man, sometimes I don't make a lot of money with it, but I always feel like, man, I'm making some impact. I'm doing a great thing. Etc. So it's my conviction, man. Like, I don't see myself being some big time rapper, but you know, if Lincoln High School can call on me to come teach a class, and I can meet some kids that are inspiring to rap, and I can show them my music and show them how you can talk about everything else except for the other stuff, and still have a good career, and still, you know, still not be stressed about things that other people are portraying to you that you need to have in this world, or consumerism or whatever. Like, I feel like that's good work that I've been doing, man. And
Amen.
and find commonality in schools. Schools, I work with programs. You can't talk about no God, no nothing. Like, you can't talk about that. So we come up with a way to still do stuff, to still to still make an impact, to still talk about my life, to still talk about how I used to be and how I am now, to still talk about marriage, to still talk about God's agenda for being a man. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I definitely would say. First, figure out, especially with what's going on, figure out what you want to do, or what you feel like you're being led to, and what common grounds you are willing to meet on, that won't cross your convictions. So
That's
that's
good.
what I would say.
That's dope, man.
That's
You
good.
know,
Well, we've
I
been
hope I
talking.
don't sound like I'm rambling, man.
Man, I love this dude, man. Yeah, hey, whoever watches, pay attention to Sauce, man. I love this dude, man. You got the Protect OS thing coming out too, and I
Yeah.
want to make sure. I know we run out of time or whatever. Support this brother, man.
Yeah, what is it about that? Briefly though, Sauce. Like, don't.
Brief Sauce.
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna be brief. So Protecto S, man. I just been going in my mind. I've worked with a lot of organizations, but I've never had nothing of my own. And I've been going in my mind like, man, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to be able to help and amplify. And for so many years, like, I was the guy where people were inboxing like, hey man, send me a book to read, or hey man, what's a black-owned restaurant I can go to tonight, or man, who has a black bookstore in the community, and I've been able to help people find those different outlets or whatever. And Protect OS basically means protecting ourselves, and it's four tenets of it. The first is self-defense, the second is education, the third is self-sufficiency, and the fourth is investment. Self-defense basically being anything from law, knowing the law, knowing what your rights are, etc. To if you're interested in firearms, I know Pastor Timothy Shockley can get you a CCW. Things of that nature, right? Or Brother Muhammad can show you how to do a flip kick or whatever you want to do. Education is looking at the current education system. My wife is an educator, so I get a lot of insight from her, and figuring out what type of education are we trying to provide for our children. Also being involved in the education process of whatever district you're in, or homeschooling, or whatever you're doing. Also books, knowledge, etc., etc. Self-sufficiency is relying less and less upon systems that abuse us. So if you if you live in a food desert and you got to travel 50 miles to get to Walmart or whatever you got to do, let's learn about growing our own food. Black people have a incredible history in agriculture. I mean, your grandpa's daddy was probably a sharecropper. You know what I mean? And the last one is investment. Nothing to do with stock markets or anything like that, but literally doing all these things to invest into a better world for tomorrow. So it has the tendency. So the investment part is everything. It's faith. It's family. It's financial stewardship. It's all of these different things all together, all inspired definitely by Nehemiah, man, and what they did to build that community up. And even though they went right back at the end of the book, still the process is definitely something that I really enjoyed. It's probably one of my favorite things about the Bible, man, really seeing those things lived out among people, man. So
amen.
That's what Protect OS is.
That's amazing, man. Like I said, man, I appreciate you. I've been kind of following you, and I've been following you for forever, and so it's good to kind of get insight into the back room, the dashboard of what we were seeing take place in real time. So that's a blessing. So that's a blessing, man.
Right. But you know what's so funny, man. And I know we long, but lots of people, man, during the Ferguson uprising, who were like, yo, I don't know what's going on with bro. Like, they own it now. Like, they hit me up like, hey man, what's a local organization that, you know what I'm saying, that's something that I agree with or whatever that I can work with. You know what I'm saying? Who's people on the ground doing the work? What churches are doing this? What people are doing this? Who do you know? Like, and that's been a blessing, because it's like, man, like for a long time I felt kind of ostracized and outcasted, man. And it's like people still rocking. You know what I'm saying? People, as they go on whatever journeys they're going on, man, we're all meeting at the same place, and we're all trying to figure out life as God intended. You know, nobody knows the answers. That's one thing I've learned as well. And we're all trying to figure out life as God intended, man, and live with our convictions, and make peace, and make a better world. I mean, I don't want to sound, um, you know, hopelessly optimistic, but literally
About the world.
trying to make a better world, man.
For you and for me and the entire human race.
Right,
Oh
right.
Lord, here we
People
go.
dying.
We are the world. We are the children, man.
I'm for real though. Like I was looking at my kids, like my kids, I want my kids to grow up in a better place. I just do.
Absolutely, absolutely,
I do. And I think our parents thought the same way. Their parents
absolutely.
thought the same way, and
Yeah,
their parents thought the same way. So
yeah,
Right.
I think that's the struggle. That's part of the
yeah,
struggle. Like I want our Martin Luther King. Like I have a dream that one day my children will be judged by the content of their character. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? By the color of
Yeah.
their, not by the color of their skin, but by the content
content.
Content of the
of their
character.
character.
Yeah.
Like, so I
Yeah,
think that's good. Like I think that's not hopelessly optimistic. I think
Yeah.
that's extremely biblical. Like
yeah, absolutely.
we want our children to grow up in a better nation. And so, Deke, we're gonna end it with you, man. I want you to. There's somebody watching right now. Number one, there's somebody probably watching who doesn't have a relationship with Jesus,
Yeah,
who's seeking one, who's dealing with their identity, ethnic identity, their
yeah,
spiritual identity, and they really want to know, hey, what does this God, this Jesus, have to offer me as a black person? Like,
yeah.
what is that? I want you to talk to that, and then we're gonna close in prayer. I'm gonna make this two parts. It's gonna be two parts. So half of it's gonna air on Sunday. I don't know. I may air the whole thing. I don't know, but just
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. You know, you good, you good. Absolutely. I think for me, man, I've seen for somebody that's wrestling with that, with their identity. Um, this world is full of identifiers, right?
Mm,
This world is full of people trying to label you as one thing or another. Even like Saul said earlier, the idea of being black or being white or whatever it is, of being in poverty or being wealthy or whatever. There's all of these classifications, all of these categories, and mankind loves our categories. Um, the reality is Jesus transcends all those categories. When he left a throne of holiness, of righteousness, and transcended and became intimate in a way in which he took upon human flesh and interacted both with the wealthy elite in the case of like Nicodemus, and those folks, would also with those that have flipped on their nation. So you have the two-faced people with Matthew being a tax collector but being Jewish, and you also just have the lowly cast that were just fishing, that had been rejected by society, and a cast like Peter and whatnot. And they had in a Jewish tradition, they had failed in rabbinical school and then had to just take up their father's business. So he interacted with all of these different people groups and still loved them, even though they despised him in so many different ways, even though they had betrayed him, even though they had vowed to protect him and to rock with him and to roll with him and to be there for him. At the end of the day, they all dipped out. And so when it comes to people betraying you that should care for you, when it comes to people that misunderstand you, that, I mean, even his own people, right, were the ones that crucified him, and yet he was their Messiah. And they could have done tremendously better by embracing him as Messiah, as their anointed one, but they didn't. They rejected him. And so, if any of those things resonate with you, you have a high priest, as scripture says, that can sympathize with your weaknesses. He can enter into your world, and he has entered into your world, and he is ready and willing to say, listen, I know what that feels like, but this ain't the end. Like, this is not the end. I got on a cross. I died for your sin. I also died for their sin, so that now through me, you have the power not only to receive forgiveness for your sin, but also they have the power to receive forgiveness for their sin. And because of that, we now could be unified together. And so this isn't the end. So don't allow pain to speak more loudly in your life. Don't allow these ridiculous categories to speak more loudly in your life. Instead, it's who Christ says you are, and you are his son, you are his daughter. He died for you, he loves you, he resurrected for you, he ascended for you, and he's coming back. And so place your trust in that and let this world go the way of this world. It doesn't mean you can't interact, doesn't mean you shouldn't fight for righteousness, but the reality is that my identity truly is found in Jesus Christ, not in these false constructs of humanity. And so find yourself there, no matter whatever you may be feeling, and cry out to him, talk to him, interact with him, talk to Pastor 83, talk to Sauce, give me a shout, whoever, pull on your grandma that read the Bible, talk to them. These are people that have walked these experiences and have had to reconcile their ethnicity and the suffering from it with their faith. And man, there's some dope wisdom there. Absolutely amazing wisdom of people that have had to navigate pain and suffering. And God, why did you allow for us to go through this? Have already had to answer those questions. And they may be simple answers, but they are so profound.
Yes.
Rest in that, knowing that they serve the same Lord that is calling out to you right now. So place your trust in him. He's ready and willing. So amen. That's exactly what I would say.
That's amazing. And I'm always encouraged when I when I do studies of our history. I'm always encouraged by the faith of our ancestors, man.
Man, listen.
Oh, it's amazing to me, like the stuff that they endured, survived, lived through, and still clung to their faith in Christ.
Yeah.
The invisible institutions, which were basically churches in the swamps, like churches in the woods, like singing and praising and worshiping in the midst of oppression and abuse.
Man, and there's some deep theology there too. I mean, these people were not people that were, biblically illiterate. Like they understood some deep things about God. Suffering teaches us some very deep things about God. And these people have navigated that already. Not some 35-year-old fool that's just trying to run. Like, nah, man, these people have went through these things, and I lean on their wisdom and their knowledge. If we ever needed a voice during today, it's some of their wisdom and some of their knowledge as they integrated their faith in their suffering and said, here's what the Lord says to us. Like, man, turn and listen.
That's good. And so we're getting ready to close City of Truth, man. I pray that you guys have enjoyed this conversation. In a minute, I'm going to ask Pastor Cole to pray. And for those of you who are watching and you want to give your life to Jesus for the first time, I'm going to ask him to pray with you. And then I'm going to just kind of pray us out. There'll be links. There'll be a link. Obviously, there's always a link posted where you can click on that link and somebody will be able to minister with you, talk to you, take your prayer request, walk with you. We'll get you kind of inculcated into what's taking place at our church if you so desire. And so, Pastor Cole, like I said, there's somebody watching. I want you right now. They're ready to pray. They're ready to pray. They're ready to give their life to the Lord. I want you right now to lead them in that.
Absolutely. Father, we come to you, thanking you for this heart and this mind that is ready and willing to yield itself to you. I pray, Lord, that you enter into their world. There's no telling what they have been through. There's no telling the pain that they have suffered, the questions and the doubts and the fears. And even right now, Lord, the enemy trying to snatch away the seed that you have already planted. Father, I pray that you would keep him at bay and you would allow for your word to be heard and that you would allow for it to grow roots and to begin to bear fruit. Father, I pray that as they listened to us today, that they would have heard you, not us, but they would have heard your word. And they would place their trust in Jesus Christ, who died for their sin, that they would know that there is nothing that can separate them from you because your love has conquered all, has transcended everything, that they are able to come to you and place their faith in you, and you are ready and willing to be there for them as a high priest, as a big brother, as a father, whatever they need, you are there to be there for them, that you died on the cross for their sin, that you resurrected in 3 days, and that from the resurrection you ascended to sit on the right hand of the Father, and one day you are coming back for them. I pray they place their trust in that they would know that that is a message by which they are redeemed, that they have value, that they have worth, that can never be snatched away by any cop, by any type of abuse, by any type of suffering this world may try to pour on them, that you have deemed them worthy, and you have proven that because you died on the cross for them. I pray that they would place their faith in that, and they would know that you desperately love them. For we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. City of Truth, man, this is amazing. I appreciate these guys so much. Sauce, Deacon, y'all my guys. As soon as all this
love you, G.
COVID stuff, man, we're gonna have to go get some chicken wings or something.
Virtual hug. Here we go.
Do something.
I don't eat no chicken, but
man, come on, man. See, you didn't radicalize too much, man. You done gave him chicken.
But I'm close to that, Sauce. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna
Oh man, take me off. Cut my
Hey.
video off.
I'm close, man. My wife be making some vegan stuff. I'd be like, "Are you serious?"
My wife vegan too,
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah.
Man, she
Beyond
keep trying to
Burger.
convert me. It ain't gonna work.
But anyway, City of Truth, man, I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. Listen, next month, which is actually next week, we're starting a new series. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but you'll see a promo drop. It's going to be great. Listen, I love you guys. Like I always say, God bless you. And I cannot wait till we get together again physically. I'll see you soon, and continue to love Jesus, love people. God bless.
Amen. God bless you. Peace.
Man, I'm so grateful that you guys watched part 2 of The Black Effect with Pastor Cole and Royce Sauce Handy. I pray it blessed you. Pray it gave you the information that you needed, the encouragement you needed, the clarity you needed. For those of you who gave your life to Jesus for the first time, there is a link that our team has posted. Click that link. We want to talk to you. We want to minister to you. We want to pray with you. We want to get you resources and information that you need to continue for your relationship with Jesus to flourish. All right, so click that link. It's posted already. People are waiting to hear from you. If you just need prayer, click the link. If you just have a question, theological question, whatever it is, click the link, man. Somebody will get with you and answer those questions for you. Once again, I love you. Pastor AD3 here, and there's something special in the works for next weekend. Stay tuned to all of our social media platforms so you can hear what's taking place. I think the ladies are going to enjoy it. So listen, I love you. God bless you. Take it over.